Howdy folks, and I hope the 1/6 scale Santa is ready to fill your stockings with plastic people. That sounds all wrong. It sounds wrong on every level, so moving swiftly on. Welcome back to the channel for another unboxing and review. And today it's the turn of another Eaglemoss product, and as regulars to the channel will know from the recent Nostromo review that went up, it looks like Mr. Go Figure has been collecting without due care and attention again and has gone and driven into yet another rabbit hole. So to celebrate my addiction, today we're going to be taking an up-close look at yet another Eaglemoss product, specifically the HR Giga designed Space Jockey from Ridley Scott's landmark 1979 movie Alien. Usual format folks, box, figure and then showcase at the end, but as always before we dive in I'd like to send a huge festive thank you to everyone who supported Go Figure, and please drop a like on this review and help other people find the channel, and if you haven't already please hit that subscribe button and mash that bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the action figure and collectible goodness that we've got lined up. But that's enough of my dithering. Onto this enormous box, and it is a big box too. Let's stop it from spinning if I can time this perfectly and get my hands underneath the under the turntable here, because this is a big box, this one, and a heavy box too. Brand new, this literally just come through the door and gone straight in front of the camera. So let's have a quick once over. What you've got on the front here is a side view of the Space Jockey. In the background here there's sort of this green sci-fi type design going on. It says Alien Space Jockey at the bottom, the Alien and Predator figurine collection at the top. There's the measurements there, and this thing comes in at 230 millimeters tall. On the sides it's a slightly different angle of the jockey, and you've got a brief description here, sort of the history of the jockey himself from the movie. Pretty much the same story on the other side. Let's have a look on the top here, and this is a hefty box, so bear with me. On the top it just says Alien Space Jockey and the TM mark there, obviously licensed product this one. On the bottom you've got all the usual credits and warnings, yeah, normal stuff. Don't piss this statuette off or you might have unexplainable chest pains for quite some time. Around the back, basically what you've got here is a sort of HD shot of the Space Jockey in situ. That's still from the movie, and you've got a description here of some of the other products that Eaglemoss make in that line, and a brief description here of all the other stuff that goes on. And there, at the bottom there, you've got their website and all the other usual info. So that's the box, very nicely presented, I have to say. Slightly different from the Nostromo box that we looked at in the last review. I'm sort of preferring this type of design, I must admit. There's a lot more going on and it just looks that little bit more in keeping with the Alien aesthetic, but there it is. So without further ado, let's do what we always do. Let's crack the seals open on this big boy. Let's dive down onto the table and find out what this thing's all about. Okay folks, so here he is. It's the Space Jockey himself, straight out of the box, straight onto the turntable. And first impressions, well, first thing you notice obviously is the heft of this particular piece. It's got some weight to it. It feels like it's polystone, but I believe it's actually made out of a resin material. I think that's what Eaglemoss have used here. So it's got some serious weight to it, which is nice to see with a piece like this. So yeah, very, very heavy. Other impressions, straight away, yeah, the proportions look on point to me. The screen accuracy looks there as well. Paint applications, well, we'll come to that, because that's an interesting one with this particular piece, because yeah, well, we'll get to that. But before we dive into the jockey himself, I forgot to mention when we were taking a look at the box, when you open up this figure, what you do get is a certificate of authenticity, which is nice to see from Eaglemoss. It says the Alien and Predator figurine collection there, Space Jockey, certificate of authenticity, number 214 out of 2000, and the Hero Collectors and Eaglemoss details at the bottom there. It's just one-sided on a sort of heavy stock paper, but it's a nice inclusion. And you also get this little brochure as well, which includes all of the, well, not all of them, but a lot of the other. If I can get if I can get this around the Space Jockey, it just covers the jockey itself in the description, and some of the other figurines and bits and pieces that are available in the Eaglemoss Alien Predator line. So yeah, that's your little brochure as well. Nice inclusion. So let's stop the jockey from spinning and have a close-up look like we always do, and we'll get him off this turntable. We'll start underneath. Now, picking this guy up's no mean feat with one hand. He has got a lot of weight to him, as I mentioned. Underneath, you are greeted with a relatively plain base here on the bottom. No feet. It would have been nice to see some feet on here, some felt padded feet, to minimise movement, but then again, this thing weighs so much, I doubt very much whether it's going to be slipping around in your display if you pick it up. So yeah, on the bottom, very simple, just a little sticker there. It says Alien Space Jockey, trademark 2017 and Fox there, and really that's it for the base. But the base section itself, obviously meant to replicate the revolving part of the derelict, is really nicely done, and as far as I can see is screen accurate, on point there. You've got the detailing really nice with this sort of striated effect around the edges here, and then you've got all these sort of pipes and circular sections in the center, radiating out from the jockey himself, all really nicely done, and nicely painted. Relatively matte paint application on that base there. I am picking out sort of what looks like airbrushing. Now it seems that there's a lot of airbrushing going on here, as you probably already picked up from this sort of rib section at the base here with these stripes, and around the back. It looks like the majority of the paint application here has been done by airbrushing, but it does look like some attempt at weathering as well. If you look at the back here, you've got this sort of airbrushed shaded effect coming up from the base of the seat. And then on the top here, there is an attempt at sort of weathering. Looks like dry brushing and paint washes into the crevices there to pick up the details. Overall, we'll talk about paint application now. As soon as I got this out of the box, my first thoughts were, I am not 100% certain about that paint application. My gut response was the sculpt is phenomenal, and I think it really is a very good sculpt, bar a couple of little bits and pieces that are slightly inaccurate, but I think Eaglemoss can be let off for that because they are the finer details. Overall, the sculpt, yeah, is great. It was the paint applications that sort of, I thought, hang on, yeah, oversimplified. So what I did was, and we'll do this now actually, what I'll do is I'll just grab my phone here. Now, getting photographs of this, of the Space Jockey that haven't been sort of, how can I say, touched up or it's difficult because the nature of, I mean, the film was made in 1979, lifting from DVD, lifting from a streamed picture, going from stills from the film that may have been taken in a different kind of stock, getting an accurate idea of the actual colours on the Space Jockey just simply from trawling the internet. It's not the easiest thing in the world. So colour accuracies to one side. It wasn't until I actually sort of thought, okay, I'll have a look at some of these photos. I realised this paint application, although it struck me initially as not being 100% accurate, is actually a lot more accurate than I thought it was. I mean, if you take a look here, if I can get this shot into camera here, the body itself is actually very similar in colour to this, and the paint applications, although a little bit darker in places here, overall they are accurate, as are these tiger stripes that run sort of the full length of the base section here. Perhaps a little bit more pronounced here, but I've noticed that this may have been colorized, this shot, because these suits are very stand out in their color. Let's take a look at another one. You see, this is where we see the sort of the alterations, the differences between film stock and source material here. This has got a much more blue and darker hue to it. But once again, actually, the paint applications are not as inaccurate as I first thought they were. I think it's how we remember these things. I mean, I have seen the film probably more times than I can care to count. and it's how we remember them, but you've got to remember the stage lighting, and as I say, just variations in film stock and so on. Let's take a look at another one. That's a good one there, actually. If we get that, I'm going to bring this in and get that shot alongside it. Now, got to remember we're looking through two screens here, so that's going to degrade color as well, but what I can see here is very, very similar. Perhaps slightly more shine and slightly more detail in the paint application, but on the whole, actually, I think a lot better than my first impressions, this paint application. And it also shows perhaps some of the minor details that have been missed out, for example, in the sculpt itself. A good example here is these, if I flip it round here, on the sides here, as you can probably see, there are sort of these clip effects. If I can bring this right into camera, you might see these underneath where this section attaches to the barrel almost. There's one here and one here. Now there should be another one here which actually goes all the way over the top, and then this one here should be slightly higher. So they missed out this section here in the sculpt, but I will let Eaglemoss off most certainly at this price point for those minor details. Overall, as far as I can see, I think what they've done here in the sculpt at least is absolutely spot on. Let's bring him back in and just have a quick wander around now. As well, and you probably noticed this when we were looking at it before, they've even sculpted the hole in the chest there, if the camera will pick that up and the lighting is catching that. And this is faulty memory on my part. I was sat there thinking, well, surely they know that hole was actually in the center of his chest. No, on checking the stills from the film, that was off to the right hand side and is absolutely on point. But yeah, level of detailing is really, really nice. The paint applications are probably not to everyone's taste, but I think more accurate than perhaps they first appear. Bar a couple of niggles, as I mentioned, on the edge of the barrel here. They've pretty much nailed on the details of the sculpt. The end of the barrel has those sort of semicircular effect here. Everything has got a sort of a slightly weathered effect, and you can see this on the barrel here. I'm not sure whether the light will catch this, but there has been dry brushing all the way down that barrel. Very, very subtle to pick out the details, but yeah, overall the sculpt is pretty accurate. Paint applications are, as I say, deceptively accurate, although might not be to the untrained eye. You've got you've got Fox there, and it says 2017. That's been carved, that's been sculpted into the base area there, and overall, I think Eaglemoss have done a very, very good job here. And part of me wishes they hadn't, to be honest with you, because I now find myself tumbling into this enormous rabbit hole yet again. But yeah, I've got to say, I think they've done a cracking job here. Now, let's go in for final thoughts on this. Let's get him spinning again, and we're going to score this one, which I didn't do with the Nostromo, simply because it was the first type of that scale ship I've had from them. But I have had other statuettes, shall we say, in this scale, so I think it's worth giving this one a score. And I've got to say, pretty impressed. Now, sculpt, yes, some minor inaccuracies, so that's probably going to go about a 9. The paint applications could be better. Like I said, though, they're not as inaccurate as I first thought. They could be better. I think maybe a slightly shinier wash, and maybe slightly more detail within the paint applications. So I mean, I think a fair score for this would be a solid 8. It would be a 9 for the sculpt and probably a 7.5 for the paint applications. So overall, I think 8 is a fair score for this piece. I love it. I think it's great. I think as a mini centerpiece for an Alien collection, or just as an addition to any Alien collection, be it in whatever scale it might be, whether it be action figure or just smaller statues, I think this is a cracking piece and a fitting tribute to the truly visionary work of Mr. Giger and the amazing film that is Ridley Scott's '79 Alien. So there you have it, folks. That is Eaglemoss's take on the Space Jockey. from Alien. What are your thoughts on this piece? Am I missing it completely? Are those paint applications off more than I think they are? What's your thought on the film? What are your thoughts on Giga? What are your thoughts on Alien as a whole? Please, nothing's off menu, so drop a comment in that comment section below. And I suppose all it remains for me to say, before we wrap up and move over to the showcase, what's coming up on the channel? Well, I have a feeling in my bones that there's going to be more Eaglemoss reviews coming up, but stay tuned for those. In the 6 scale and quarter scale action figure world, we have a raft of stuff coming in. We've got stuff from Pure Arts, from InArt, from Hot Toys, Susu Toys, Present Toys, 3.0. The list is endless. We've got new reviews, we've got showcases, we've got retro reviews. We've got more episodes of Don't Make Me Choose and more episodes of Grail or Fell. So yeah, absolutely loads of stuff coming up on the channel. Oh, and as well, yeah, we have a pre-Christmas special, which will be my top 10 1/6 scale figures of 2024. So that should be interesting. So stay tuned for that. I would imagine a lot of people are going to disagree with me on my choice, but that's the fun of it. So yeah, there you have it, folks. I hope this review's been useful for you. And I suppose all it remains for me to say, from Eaglemoss's take on the Space Jockey and myself, take care of yourselves, happy collecting, and it's over to the showcase.